So guess what? This is a wild story tweeted out by Greg Price. Last April, the FBI raided the home of an ABC journalist named James Gordon Meek. He was finishing up a book about Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan, which of course is not going to be flattering. He also has a documentary on Hulu, also not flattering, about our foreign policy and a big cover-up of the death of Marines in Niger. He's been charged with no crime. He's abruptly resigned from his job, and nobody has seen him since. He's an Emmy Award-winning producer. And the FBI raided his home, and nobody has seen him since. This story is legit crazy. The guy was an Emmy Award-winning national security reporter at the top of his profession, and all of a sudden fell off the face of the earth after the FBI raided his home. Source in the story just says he had classified information on his computer. Now, that is when the FBI says he has classified information on his computer, what that means is he has embarrassing, damaging information to the establishment. That's what that means. That's how I interpret it. Jackson, would you interpret it that way? I'm here with Jackson the Hair Hinkle.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't know how much we can dig into it, but that we've seen it in the past. It's called getting Seth riched.
Another interesting. What did you say?
I said that's called getting Seth riched.
Another interesting angle of the story. If the raid was for the personal documents of a journalist, it would have had to be personally signed off on by U.S. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco. So yeah, they say he had. One investigative journalist who worked with Meek says it would be highly unusual for a reporter or producer to keep any classified information on a computer. Now, this story in the Rolling Stone, it's already being written by a reporter. Why would this reporter who wrote this story have to quote another journalist on how journalism works? Isn't that that made me all of a sudden I just went, what? One investigative journalist who worked with Meek says it would be highly unusual for a reporter or producer. Well, what do you say, writer of this thing? Is it highly unusual or isn't it? Why do you have to quote a friend of his? Why don't you just quote yourself? Isn't there a handbook on journalism on how to do this stuff? And if there isn't, why isn't there? B, and don't you know how this works? So you don't know if this is... So this guy who wrote this article, he's not sure. Who wrote this? Could you look? I forget. I didn't look it up. Could you look up who wrote this goddamn article?
Also, why would that be highly unusual? Where should they keep the classified information?
Where are they going to keep? Right. Where are they going to keep it?
Shoved up their butt? Like, where are they going to keep it? I don't know. It's where else?
Where did Julian Assange keep his classified information? He kept it on a computer server.
Yeah.
So again, it's the Rolling Stone. So Rolling Stone is one of the all-time shittiest journalism outlets in the world. It's not journalism. So that's why I'm super suspicious of this article. And that's what this paragraph jumped out at me. What? Say it again.
Tatiana Siegel.
Tatiana Siegel wrote this?
Yes.
Oh, sounds like could be, I don't know, could be lady, could be a fella. What does it look, what do you think?
I'm going to go with female.
Female? Okay. But his track record, so they say that a lot of people say he was an apologist for the war machine, right? But Rolling Stone says no. His track record of exclusives was undeniable. Breaking the news of foiled terrorist plots in New York City, that seems... that does not make me think that that's a great story. So somebody on the inside gave him some information. I mean, somebody from the FBI told him about a terrorist plot that the FBI probably cooked up themselves. That's what that sounds like. So let's move on. He also, and the Army's cover-up. So this actually sounds like something. He actually did a story on the Army's cover-up of the fratricidal death of Private First Class David Sherritt II in Iraq. A bombshell that earned Meek he got a face-to-face meeting with President Obama. Again, if he was doing something that is that hurtful to the establishment, you don't get invited to the White House. You get sent to Belmarsh, and they try to kill you, and they call you a traitor. Or you get tortured like Chelsea Manning, or you get sent to Russia like Edward Snowden. If he was really challenging the establishment that hard, you don't get a face-to-face with the chief criminal, war crimer Barack Obama. So I'm just some of this is suspect. With 9 years at AB, but it's super is shady what's going on. So there is something here. With 9 years at ABC under his belt, a buzzy Hulu documentary. So that documentary that he did was about the 2017 ambush by ISIS in Niger that left 4 American Green Berets dead. Meek and ABC adapted the story into a feature-length documentary called 3212 Unredacted, which debuted last year on Veterans Day on ABC's sister company, Hulu. So he did so that documentary, I guess, embarrassed some people inside the military, and he was poised to get an Emmy nomination. He did not get it because he disappeared. And he's also working on an upcoming book on the military's chaotic withdrawal from the Afghanistan. He's a 52-year-old bear of a man, they put in there. He seemed to be at the height of his powers and the pinnacle of his profession. Multiple sources familiar with the matter say Meek was the target of an FBI raid at the Sienna Park Apartments, where he had been living on the top floor for more than a decade. Or do you say decade? An FBI representative told Rolling Stone its agents were present on the morning of April 27th at the 2300 block of Columbia Pike, Arlington, Virginia, conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity. The FBI cannot comment further. No, they can't. Meek had been charged with no crime. He's been charged with no crime, but he's disappeared. But independent observers believe the raid is among the first, and quite possibly the first, to be carried out on a journalist so this is Biden administration going after journalists. So they're saying this is possibly the first time Biden has done this. No, he's doing it with Julian Assange. They're still doing that. So I would say this would be the second. And the Biden administration going after journalism after they said that. So Trump did, because he was rude to Jim Acosta. You mean Trump didn't raid Jim Acosta's apartment and then disappear him? No. A federal magistrate judge in the Virginia Eastern District Court signed off on the search warrant the day before the raid. If the raid was for Meek's records, U.S. Attorney General Lisa Monaco would have to have given her blessing. A new policy enacted last year prohibits federal prosecutors from seizing journalist documents. Any exception requires the Deputy Attorney General's approval. Wow. Gabe Rotman at the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press says, to my knowledge, there hasn't been a case since January 2021. So this, to his knowledge, this is the first new case. Wow. So Sienna Park Management has declined to confirm that their longtime tenant is gone. They're not going to say. They're citing privacy policies. Similarly, several ABC News colleagues who are accustomed to unraveling mysteries and cracking investigative stories tell Rolling Stone that they have no idea what happened to Meek. The story was particularly incendiary. The story about that he did for that documentary on Hulu was particularly incendiary because it undermined the Pentagon's official narrative of what happened on the ground in the African nation and presented evidence of a cover-up at the highest levels of the Army, according to the film's logline. So that'll get you disappeared. That'll get you investigated by the FBI. That'll get your apartment raided and your computers taken. That'll do it. He fell off the face of the earth, says one. And people asked, but no one knew the answer. An ABC representative tells Rolling Stone he resigned very abruptly and hasn't worked for us for months. Adding intrigue, listen to this. Sources say another ABC News investigative journalist, Brian Epstein, also abruptly and inexplicably left the network a few months before Meek. So they're both doing the same kind of journalism. They both just drop off the face of the earth from ABC News. Inexplicably, that's the word that the Rolling Stone reporter used. Epstein also worked as a director and a producer and a cinematographer on that Hulu documentary that is embarrassing the military-industrial complex. Hulu stopped an Emmy campaigning after Meek apparently went AWOL. And the documentary ultimately failed to receive a nomination. Why would they say AWOL? That makes it sound like he flipped out. How about after he went missing? Epstein told Rolling Stone, "I'm not commenting on this story," before abruptly hanging up. Whoa, why? Why won't you comment on the story? What's going on? Sounds like people are afraid to get... who was that reporter that worked for... Was it... his car? They said his car... he smashed his car in Hollywood. Who was that reporter? And he was he was telling the truth about the war, Iraq and Syria, I think. Meek even featured a picture of his soon-to-be published book on his bio on social media and frequently tweeted about his involvement. But post April 27th, the book jacket photo disappeared from his bio, and Simon & Schuster have scrubbed his name from all press materials.
Michael Hastings?
Yeah, Michael Hastings.
Wow. Simon & Schuster scrubbed his name from all press materials.
Yes.
Wow.
The first sentence of the jacket, the book jacket, previously read, "In April, ABC News correspondent James Gordon Meek got an urgent call from a Special Forces operator serving overseas." Now it says, "In April, an urgent call was placed from a Special Forces operator serving overseas."
Jimmy, I just wanted to go back to Hastings. He was investigating CIA Director John Brennan when he was killed in June 2013 car crash.
I'm sure it was just a car crash. I'm sure nothing was up. Here's a picture of that guy. Where is James Gordon Meek? That's him. FBI raids this journalist investigating corruption in the federal government, and not even his neighbors have seen him since April.
Well, that sounds completely normal.
Sounds completely normal.
Oh.
Why do I have a feeling the FBI knows where he is? I have a feeling they know where he is. Anyway, interesting story. Sounds exactly like what the government would do to a reporter who was onto a story. So I'm guessing he was onto a story that was about to, I don't know, reveal some truth that the military-industrial complex doesn't want you to know.
Yeah,
that's all I can. And that's that.
Probably also had a seemingly good relationship with the FBI prior to that, and intelligence. They gave him a bunch of stories.
Yeah.
But what I'd add is any real journalist in America right now, their number one priority should be digging into whatever this guy was digging into.
They're not even mentioning it. I mean, Rolling Stone at least covered it, so tip of the hat to Rolling Stone in this instance. Yeah, it did seem like he was friendly with the FBI. The FBI fed him stories, and then he came upon a story that they don't want released. The FBI, the CIA, the Pentagon, the White House. He's honest to a story they don't want released, and that's what it seems like.
Got a little too big for his britches.
But we'll see. I don't know. That, of course, that's just me 100% speculating. I don't have any evidence one way or the other. That's just a speculation, which you're allowed to do, by the way. You're allowed to speculate on open investigations and missing persons. You're allowed to speculate. Remember how they speculated on that airplane that went down in the Indian Ocean and nobody... Remember, Don Lemon said he thought it was maybe a UFO came and took that plane away. So you're allowed to speculate. Remember that?
You just shove it deep into the memory hole. You forget about it eventually, right?
Yeah. Hey, we're going to see you in Miami, West Palm Beach, Denver, Palm Springs, Austin, Burbank. That's right. The Saturday after Thanksgiving here in Burbank, and lots of dates in Los Angeles in December. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all our tickets and join our premium program when you go there too.